What's going on? I'm Mike Berlin and you are watching Wild Fed Family, and today is July 2nd and it is a work in the garden kind of day. Now, I don't know if you've been to Middle Georgia this time of year, but it is typically in the low 90s to 100 degrees every single day. Now, I'm blessed with this overcast day. It's 85 degrees and it's time to plant some summer crops. So when a lot of people plant their garden, they plant at the last frost at the beginning of spring, and it grows really well into summer until the summer heat hits. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 things that I plant that do really well planting in the heat of summer and produce really well into the early fall. So this garden bed down here is where I plant my early spring brassicas, but as you can see, this is all coming to an end. It's time to harvest these cabbages, and it's turning into the midsummer garden today. So I'm gonna make this really brief, but the basics of what I'm doing to prep these beds is pretty much pulling out all the old vegetables, all these leaves from the cabbage that's going to the goats. Secondly, I'm going to top it off with a nitrogen-rich horse manure and shavings compost. Mix that in and give it a little bit of the Epsoma organic fertilizer, and that's basically it. Now, I do not like to till my beds because these are slap full of worms, and just like your gut, there's a living microbiome in this dirt. You want to keep your dirt living, not stirring it up and disrupting everything that's going on underneath the soil that you cannot see, and you're going to have healthy plants coming from healthy soil. So soil is number one. That is the key, the most important thing. Take care of it and it will give you exactly what you want from your garden. So I already have this bed behind me completely mulched and prepped, so I'm going to show you what my number one go-to is for summer planting, and that's going to be sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes originate from South America. Yams are from Africa. That is a correction from the last video I did, and if you want more sweet potato action, I got a whole nother video on that I'm going to put at the end card of this video. But they do really great in full sun, high heat, and are very drought tolerant, and they produce a ton of food and die off just in time for that October-November frost that comes around here in Georgia. So all in all, that cost me about $12 and 5 minutes of my time, and I can expect anywhere from 50 to 75 pounds of sweet potatoes come mid to late September. So why not throw them in the ground and let them do their thing during the heat of the summer? Another really awesome thing about sweet potatoes is while that sweet potato is growing up underneath the ground, you can still be picking the leaves and the flowers, and those are edible too. You can put those in salads or just pick them off the plant, eat them raw, and they actually taste pretty good. The next thing that I'm going to plant is going to be butternut squash. Now, you can categorize this as butternut squash, gourds, pumpkins, anything that you would eat at Thanksgiving. That type of squash, that's what you want to plant July through August. It does really well if you plant it right in the beginning of the season. Now, I succession plant this stuff everywhere, and there is a reason why. It is low growing and it spreads out around everything that you want to spread out around. So for my corn patch, I planted in there, and it spreads out around the base of the corn, and it keeps soil moisture contained by giving the soil a little bit of shade. Back behind this peach tree right here, does really well in the shade. It does really well at finding sunlight, so it's going to grow around. Plus it gets partial shade when you get, you know, that really hot high summer midday heat. And yeah, winter squash, butternut squash, pumpkins, gourds, plant in the middle of the summer, water them well, and come fall, you're going to have a bounty that is going to last you all winter long, and it stores really well too. The next thing that I'm going to be planting is going to be cucumbers. Now, I planted these at the 1st of April, right after the last frost, and these are all of my large slicer cucumbers that do really well trellising up this chicken wire fence. But I also planted a different variety probably in June, early June, and that is going to be the pickle bush variety. And I got that growing in a container right over that way, so I'll show you what that cucumber looks like and why I'm growing more of them. So this right here is the pickle bush that I planted probably about a month ago, and it is absolutely taken off. Now, what you're going to end up with is cucumbers about that size, and what I'm going to do is turn these into whole kosher dill pickles. They're getting pickled just like this. Matter of fact, I didn't even realize it, but I might have let this one grow a little bit too much. It was hiding in the corner. But as far as the late season pickle, I'm going to be using these because, I mean, we use a ton of slicer cucumbers throughout the summer. I mean, it just tastes like summer, but eventually you get tired of eating cucumbers every single day. So these are going to make really good pickles that will go into a jar, and they'll sit on the pantry for us to use for the rest of the year. Another thing that you can plant in the summer, and it really does well succession planting all year round, is your Blue Lake bush beans. Now, these are the first beans that these produced, and I planted these probably about 4 to 6 weeks ago. Now, up in my main garden, I've been picking and eating fresh beans since the beginning of April, and these just follow along. So whenever I get a spot with a crop that has a high nitrogen draw, like cabbage or broccoli or lettuce or something of that sort, corn would be another one, is I'm planting these bush beans in its place, and just keep it going. Make sure you water these well, because they dry up pretty easily, especially in their juvenile phase, and you're going to keep on having fresh green beans to eat all summer. And when you get overwhelmed, you can always can them, and they do really good, and you can just fill up your pantry and eat green beans out of the can all winter long. Use them in soups, or just throw a bunch of butter and salt on them, let them stew down, and yeah, green beans are one of my favorites, and they do awesome in the summer. So go ahead, pop these in the ground. They're super easy to grow, and just keep on picking them. As long as you're picking them, they're going to produce, and you're going to be enjoying green beans. Or you can eat them raw just like this, and they're so good. I'm going to sit here at the garden for 10 minutes or so just eating green beans. You don't need to cook them. Come out here and get a snack. So throughout this entire video, I've shown you vegetables that I grow in the heat of the summer, but I have not shown you fruit and what is a garden without it. So I have a Crenshaw melon. I don't know if this is a cantaloupe or not. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave something in the comments, but I do have regular old cantaloupe that I'm going to put in the ground as well. Also, 2 varieties of watermelon. Now, I missed my window, and well, I say I missed my window, but I never got around to planting any of the melons like I usually do at the mid-April. So I'm going to be planting them now, and July through August is a perfect time to plant them, because they have plenty of time to mature before your frost hits, and they like this Georgia heat, and really just full sun, summer weather anywhere in the country. So just make sure your soil is right, well draining, and you're going to have some melons. Now, here's one final tip. If you really want to capitalize on your summer garden, go ahead and get 1 or 2 beehives, because right now there's not a lot of stuff around here that's blooming. You're in what's called a dearth, and basically if you give them a flower, this one specifically is about 20 yards from their hive, they're going to get the nectar and they're going to get the pollen, and your summer garden is going to thrive. So if you got the opportunity, get some beehives in your garden. We'll thank you for it. So if you are at the point where your spring garden has basically produced out and is on the downhill side, don't get discouraged, because you can always reuse that space in your garden. Now, I can either succession plant or plant it all right at this one point, but I guarantee you, you're never going to have an empty space in your garden. You take one of these things, you take 5 of these things, and just keep on producing throughout the summer, and you're never going to be short of fruits and vegetables. So that's my summer tip, and I got a little bit more work to do, so I will see you on the next video, and thank you for watching. See ya.